Hey guys, in this video we're going to be looking at how do we work with strings in JavaScript. First, let's go ahead, create a new folder. I'm going to call this as data types. As you know that there are several data types provided to us in JavaScript, I'll create another folder. I'm going to call this as strings. From our terminal, let's go inside the strings folder. I will say cd data types. That will help me take inside the data types folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and do cd strings to go inside the strings folder. From here, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this as str.js. Now, how do we create a string? We can primarily create a string using either single quotes or double quotes. By the way, why do we use strings in the first place? If we want to store any kind of a textual information in JavaScript, we primarily make use of strings. For example, if I want to save the name of my user, his email ID, his address, his credit card information, all that textual information, we can put that inside strings. So let's say I create a variable. I'll say first name. And remember what I told you, we can either use single quotes or we can use double quotes. Both of them is going to work the same way. But generally, the programming standards with JavaScript is people prefer using a single quote while they're working with JavaScript. So I've created a variable called as first name, whose value is going to be stored as string, and it has characters a and I. Now, what if I do not put a and I inside single quotes or double quotes? Let's see what's going to happen. If I now run this code, I'll say node str.js. You can see that it's now going to throw me a reference error and it says ani is not defined. If on the left hand side of my equal sign, that's the name of my variables need not be put in single quotes. But anything to the right of my equal sign, those have to either be some variable, or in this case, I have to represent it as string. If not, it is kind of looking for a variable called as ani, which is not there. Hence, it throws a error. Now, I could have another variable. I'll say const msg1. I'll say hello. And then I can declare multiple variables on the same line using a comma. I'll say msg2 is going to be world. So I have message 1, hello, message 2, world. I will actually be in a position to add two strings. JavaScript allows me to do that. I can use the same plus operator to do so. I'll say message 1 plus message 2. So I'm adding the string hello and I'm adding the string world. And when I run this piece of code, you can see that it will tell me hello world. Now the plus operator is not only once we learned that it's an arithmetic operator. If the values before and after my plus is a number, it will do an addition. If it is a string, it will do concatenation. It's called as string concatenation. Yeah. So I can add two strings. But what if I want to provide a space? No problem. I can go ahead, add another empty string inside it. I could do something like message 1 plus an empty string plus message 2. When I come back and run the code, I now have hello space world. At the end of the day, you need to keep in mind that strings are an array of characters. Meaning, I can go on to access every single character that is present in a string. To do so, I can do something like first name, I want to refer to that particular variable. Remember what I told you, it is an array of characters, meaning each of the character is present at a certain index and indexes start at 0. So if I say first name dot of 0, so when I use the square brackets, that's indicating at the 0th index, give me the value. When I run the code, it will return A. Knowing this is very important. We can access character via index. They also give us a method to do the same. the name of the method is called as char@. Now keep in mind, if you're directly accessing it, you'll use square brackets. If you're doing it via a method, something that is built in, some functionality that is already present to us in JavaScript, I can now say char@ of 0. So I'm saying, okay, what is the character at the 0th index? It'll come back and say A. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind is, what if I ask for the character at the 10th index? So, of course, the name is very short. There's no characters at 10 indexes or the 10th index. It'll come back and it returns what? It's basically returning an empty string. So, an empty string is an indication of this thing. Nothing gets printed. It's an empty string. What's going to happen if I say first name of 10? I'm trying to access it via the index using the square brackets. Then let us see what's going to happen. Then it will come back and tell me it is undefined. So when you're trying to access a value at an index which does not exist, it will return undefined. But if you're doing it via a method, it will return an empty string. It's going to return an empty string.